Hello everyone, hopefully this video finds you well. Obviously we are all holed up following the social distancing measures in our particular locations and trying our very best to get through this pandemic and come out on the other side. From speaking with the staff of the Astaire Dance Studio of Menominee Falls, we felt it very important to try and keep you engaged, keep you thinking of dancing, and give you some tools, some videos to take your mind off the monotony and the boredom of being stuck at home all the time and give you something to break up the day and keep your dancing going. So what we decided to do was implement a 4-week series of dance videos. So several of our instructors are going to do videos beginning now and over the next 4 weeks, and some of us are choosing some of the less popular social dances. We also call them the alternate dances. So the dance I'm going to introduce you to and develop over the next 4 weeks is the Paso Doble, which is one of my favourite dances. It's a very passionate and dramatic dance, and I wanted to start by introducing a lot of the character and the history and the origins of the dance today, so we set ourselves up for success as we're moving forward, and also dispelling some of the myths about this dance. So firstly, the Paso Doble is a dance that depicts the Spanish bullfighting that you've, I'm sure, have heard of in the arenas. Typically in this dance, the leader is portraying the role of the Matador, and the follower is either portraying the role of the cape or the flamenco dancer. It is a common misconception that the follower is doing the role of the bull, which is not the case. Okay, so this is a very unique Latin dance for several reasons. The first one is that in this dance, it is very common that we take heel leads when we're dancing. So it's a marching action as we're doing this dance. So the heel leads help us to progress. It's a traveling dance. In addition to that, we have elevation changes, which we'll get into more as we develop this dance to really create more drama and make a dynamic impact. Also, we travel around the floor in a counterclockwise direction around the ballroom. Now this dance in most cases has the same phrasing. Most of the songs that are created for Paso Doble and ballroom dancing have phrasing, have highlights in the music. So most of the times our routines are created around those. They're choreographed to fit the highlights, which is fantastic because it helps train your brain as a dancer to be able to recognize these aspects. So we are now able to apply those into the other dances, so we can recognize the highs and lows in the music, which only helps make us so much more expressive when we dance. In addition, in this dance, we have no Cuban motion. So all of the elements we do in the rumba and the swing, we don't have that in this dance because we are progressing, because we're traveling, because we're taking heel leads. But that doesn't mean that this area of our body is inactive. There's some very kind of unique things we do with this, which I'll get into shortly. Also, this dance is mostly performed in a competitive environment or a show environment. In the United States, it's really not danced socially. There are some countries, 6 or 7 countries, where it is kind of danced socially on an ad-lib basis, but very, very different, you know, so from the majority of the rumba, the swing, foxtrot, those types of things. Okay, so the first thing that I like to kind of have people understand about the differences in this dance is how the poise and the posture is. So just to clarify, in ballroom dancing, when I'm referring to posture, I'm referring to my vertical line, how my body is leaving the floor and going up through me. So this will be bad posture, this will be better posture. So you can see my stomach comes in, my tailbone is tucked underneath, so I get much more of a straight line. We all naturally have this curve in the small of our back, so we want to, in this dance, change that dynamic. So some people think of their hip flexors, think of pushing the hip flexors forward. Other people think of squeezing their butt muscles underneath to create the same kind of dynamic. I would never suggest this in another Latin dance because what this does is create tension, which is going to inhibit the movement and the settling action into the floor through my hips. But in this dance, I know several people train this way, so to create this different action. So let's just try that. You can see my belt buckle. I'm going to push my belt buckle and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards. Now notice my head movement is moving slightly forward and also. So my body is not working independently, not the best look for us, but there is extension from there. So obviously my feet are in a fixed position on the floor, but you can see my body is developing. Now it's not just going forwards or downwards, it's going forwards and upwards. So that helps create stretch. So in my spine, we have all the different discs and the vertebrae. So our role is that we want to separate them and elongate them and stretch them upwards to create a very dynamic and powerful position rather than just arching and creating potentially lower back pain there. We don't want that. So going back to the Matador, we need to think about how the Matador would entice the bull. Obviously he has a cape. His job is to make the bull run at him and do what we call passes. So if I borrow a prop, an accessory for 1 second, I have a very, very sought after piece of material here. You can see red in nature, just like a Matador's cape in some cases. If I turn it around, you'll get a much better view here. So some of my soccer loving friends will appreciate this. But I would never hold the cape directly in front of me. For obvious reasons, self-preservation being number one. So what I would do as a Matador is I would hold the cape off to one side of me, or to the other side of me. So if the bull sweeps through, I am much more likely to be safe. Now going back to that poise I mentioned, I'm going to rotate my body slightly. I'll back up so you can see my feet, so this will be square. So I'm going to keep my shoulders facing the camera. I'm going to rotate the lower half of my body slightly, and now you will see the poise creating more space for the bull to go through. I'll do that on this side so you can see here too. Little different position here, so you can see. So I'm going to create space. So when the bull goes through, I am much more likely to come out this with a good result. Okay, so dramatic, passionate dance. That's the first thing, how I hold my body. So it's a marching dance, as I mentioned. So I'm going to align my body in a much more dynamic, powerful position, and I'm going to walk forwards and backwards using a heel lead dynamic action. So I'm going to push and propel my body in either direction. So heel lead going forward. It's okay to have a little compression through the standing leg and push and push. Going backwards, a lot of times what I see is people dancing backwards from the knee, which is not good. Let me give you the visual of this. So what I see is this. You can see if I only stretch backwards from my knee, my size of step is very limited and it's not in line with the characteristics we said. It's not a dynamic or powerful action. So I want to extend backwards from the hip flexor and then push off the standing leg, gathering my feet underneath, and it's similar to a tango feeling, I guess, a staccato action, dynamic action, and pushing. So you can see a very different action. So hopefully you're not going to the grocery store and getting, you figured out a way to still get your groceries, but when you are walking around, be it your kitchen, living room, whatever, try this feeling. Push and stop. So it's a very kind of dynamic, propelling action rather than continuous movement like we would see with body flight in the foxtrot or whatever it might be. So I think you get the idea there. So over the next few weeks, what we're going to do is we're going to add character and styling into our progressive movement from using elevation changes and different things to make it much more appealing. We're going to add the same things into our stationary movements so we can create rotation and again showing those different lines through there that depicts this great dance. And then finally we'll add in some different arm styling and how we use the hands very differently in this dance to depict the flamenco action too. So I hope you liked today's video. Keep your eyes peeled on our social media channels to see more. We look forward to keeping you dancing through this period, and we hope you're healthy, we hope you stay safe, and we can't wait to see you all again real soon. Thank you.